I have 6 o'clock. Do you guys have 6?
Yep.
So, call this meeting to order. We'll stand and rise for the flag salute, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Katie, you want to give us the roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Blakely.
Here.
Chairman Bradley.
Here.
Commissioner Halley.
Here.
Commissioner Kine.
Here.
Commissioner Mobley.
Here.
Vice Chair Sites.
Here.
Next on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. Do I have any discussion on that matter as well?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At this time, we have oral comments from the public. Members of the public may be heard on any item of interest that's not on the agenda tonight. Speakers addressing the commission will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Please be advised that by law, the commission is not allowed to deliberate or take action on issues presented during the oral comments. And I know we have people here, so we'll just give it a minute.
And Mr. Chairman, in tonight's meeting, we're also, correct me if I'm wrong, that we're also providing the opportunity for people to speak over the Zoom option too? Is that new to tonight's meeting?
Correct. Correct. The public may
Thank you.
phone in. We don't have any callers at the moment, but they may phone in if they have comments and don't want to hear live meeting.
Thank you, Katie.
So we may have people at home, you know, let us know that beforehand?
Yes.
If they pop up.
Yes. Yes. We don't currently have any.
Okay.
Cool.
You know, that's a good question while we're having this open. If there is a Zoom, will you get my attention or something so we're aware? Or how does that work exactly? Does it pop up on our
Well,
computer?
Yeah, I will know.
Is that a,
So we do now have somebody that has raised their hand.
Is that the noise?
Ask and you shall receive.
Get a knock knock?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, we have a caller.
You might want to use your mic too, so.
We have a caller. If you have a comment, you can speak now.
oh, they hung up.
Oh, they're there.
Did they just go off?
Hello, can you hear me? I was muted and unmuted, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Kent Sawaski, and I want to speak on some general comments. I'm going to the Blue Lake Council meeting tonight in a little while, and there's a lot of us in this area in Humboldt County, including a lot of people in Arcata, and we're not really into this pro-big development, and I strongly support that you as a planning commission always look at the small area nature we have, try and keep it small. That's why we're here. That's why we're not down in Los Angeles or some big area. And any decision you make, I highly recommend that you look at it from that viewpoint. My parents came up here in 1960, and I've enjoyed being in a small town atmosphere, and I'm just hoping that all the planning commissions and things in the whole area will try to maintain that. So thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, I want to remind everybody in the oral comments at this time is not to be addressing any of the items on the agenda tonight. Do we have any other Zoom?
Motion to close public comment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. At this time, we're going to get to our business at hand, which is a design review of the Orchards Apartments, a 70-unit multifamily development on 2.7 acre, 2.7 acre parcel, including elevations, colors, lighting, and landscaping. The applicant is Kramer Properties Incorporated. The assessor's parcel number is 200-151-021. Property site is Smith Lane. The zoning is residential, multifamily, RM. And I know at this time I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Bradley and Planning Commissioners. We're happy to be bringing this project to you tonight. I am going to present the plan sheets that you received in your packet. I'll have that on the overhead or on the TV. And it is a design review project, and that's what your, as I state in the staff report, that's what your decision will be focused on. And typically, in the past, we have brought design review either at the same time as the use permits or after the use permit. But a couple of things changed that process. One of them, the main one, is that we found in the code where it specifically says, and I have that section in your staff report, it does call out that design review shall come before the use permit. So that was relating to another project that we were discussing preliminarily, but it did come up, and so we discussed the pros and cons, and the applicant did want to bring the design review beforehand anyway, so that worked out fine. But so we will be doing that from now on. Either it can come, ahead of time, like in this case, the use permit actually has not been submitted yet. They wanted to just get the design approved. Or we could bring it at the same meeting, the design review and then use permit. So it can go either way, but the design review decision needs to precede the use permit. So that's why it's a little out of the normal procedure that you've had in the past. And just interestingly, in the past, it seems like applicants have said, well, we want to get our use permit first to get the project approved, and then we've made design review a condition of the use permit. So I think it works out either way. Anyway, so this is what we'll be doing from now on. So I'm going to go ahead and share the exhibits. So the project is a 70-unit multifamily development on the 2.7-acre parcel. It's located in an area of multifamily zoning, basically east of North Fortuna Boulevard and north of Smith Lane and kind of Ronerville Road angling to the northwest, southeast. And it is shown on the overhead. And you can see the commercial development along North Fortuna Boulevard that borders the west side of the property. And then to the south are multifamily developments along Smith Lane and also on the east, and then actually on the north as well. So it's really an infill project. It's surrounded by multifamily on three sides. Similar developments. We have a lot of newer. Well, this part of Smith Lane on the south are kind of older multifamily developments from, say, the 70s, 80s, and probably the 90s. And then to the north, you can see the three multifamily projects that Danco built fairly recently, within the last, say, 15, 20 years. And then right across to the east, that vacant field, that is the Adams multifamily development that just got finalized a couple of months ago. So there's a lot of activity in the area. The vacant parcels, this is probably the last vacant parcel in that area. So the city's going to have to, in the future, consider additional land for multifamily, I think. But it's nice to see that area getting filled in, and certainly there's a demand for all types of housing, including multifamily. So we're glad to see it getting filled in. This is the zoning map that does show the surrounding, and this has a mistake on it because that is not CT. I added in some of these labels and just kind of absentmindedly forgot to change that. So that would be RM as well. Yeah, sorry about that. So the parcel itself is residential multifamily, as is the area surrounding it. Commercial thoroughfare to the west and R110 single family across Ronerville Road. And the site plan, which you have been provided, the large-scale plans, does show the development itself. And you can see, so access is from Smith Lane. It's on like what I would call a flag driveway, with the multifamily on each side. on other parcels, but the parcel itself, it's all one single, the 2.7 acres, and it does have a flag driveway with the, the entry driving aisle and parking along that road with the two spurs on the south side. And then the multifamily, there are 9 blocks of multifamily buildings and 2-story. Overall, there's 46 one-bedroom units and 24 two-bedroom units. And they do have, you'll see the elevation, so you'll see the entryways for each of the buildings and the stairways up to the second floor. There's landscaping that you'll see. There is a fire and trash truck turnaround that's 30 feet wide. That's the fire department standard, and that's been added in recently in response to some comments. There are 2 protected wetlands in the south side, and those are not connected to Hillside Creek that runs to the north. Those are kind of isolated and not considered super valuable in that they're not connected to a larger wetland. The water runoff does come from the adjoining multifamily and commercial parcels, but those are protected. The setback reduction request, that will be part of the conditional use permit, so it's not part of the design review. But any of those issues that might come up tonight, not related to the design review, I'm just, I'm pointing that out because those are part of the site plan. But, we're really looking at the elevations and the colors and things like that. So sidewalks surrounding, all of the parcels have access, pedestrian access. Again, the parking is along the road, and the code does allow, instead of covered parking, the code allows provision of exterior accessible storage units. So each of the residential units does have an outside storage unit as well, and that would be, anything from barbecue, lawn chairs, things like that, bicycles. So those are provided, and you can see them on the site plan and on the elevations. Oh, one other feature, overall design, there will be access to, so in the northwest corner on the other parcel is the Les Schwab commercial building. And you probably are aware of the access drive into Les Schwab extends along the whole property. And then there's an easement. Actually, it's a pedestrian and an emergency access easement that just barely, I think it's off-site on this property, but there is the easement is deeded to this property as well. So actually, it's a public pedestrian easement, and it's actually, there's a paved trail that it's not really well known because it's kind of hidden, but there's a public pedestrian easement that runs along Hillside Creek. And it will connect with this property, so the occupants will be able to access that, and there will be on the site plan, you can just see an emergency access that will join into that, to connect to the emergency access that goes in front of Les Schwab. So, I think it's kind of nice. I mean, it's a second access for emergency purposes. But also the residents will be able to benefit from that as well and go on to Fortuna Boulevard and, downtown. And this is a rendering of the overall site. And you can see the driveway and the landscaping on both sides of the driveway. You can see the buildings along, basically along the perimeter with the driving aisle and the parking through the center. We'll have more detail of the elevations, but you can see, that they're all 2-story. There are 9 separate buildings, and they're spaced out, evenly around the site. Here's a community building in that northwest corner that will include laundry facilities and what else? I think we'll just go on. You can see, there's trees, landscaping, patios and decks on the second floor. And you can see the two wetlands. There will be partially a walkway along a portion of the wetlands, but otherwise they're just really functional, kind of in an isolated manner. And then you can see the fire access that'll go off to the other Les Schwab aisle. And these are photographs of another multifamily development owned by Kramer Properties, and these are in Myrtle Town, and so these are similar. These photos are provided just to give you an idea of what the development will look like. The color is different. These are the two different yellow tones, and this project, the orchards, will be 2 tones of green, but otherwise it's very similar in nature. And if you have any questions about these, and this image also gives you a photo of the trash enclosure, so it'll be split face block with gray metal doors and covered with a roof. So see, these are the elevations, and you can see that the design is similar to the other project, more modern projects that we've had in recent years, in that, the design, I think it has really, it incorporates good design elements. There's varying roof heights, the gables on all of the buildings. You'll see on some other renderings or drawings that the wall, there's projecting walls, and all those things that kind of create, a better design and better visual, and it kind of reduces monotony and just creates visual interest. This is another elevation. So the first one is the longer building that has more units. I don't have the breakdown. I think the applicant will be able to answer any questions that I miss out on. And then this is from the shorter, smaller building, and then the shorter view, the end view. And this is this is the community building. So again, it's got a nice pitched roof and these, nice large windows with, I guess it's sliding windows on the bottom, and then I don't remember what the smaller windows up at the top are called, but I think it's a really nice design. And then kind of an enhanced entryway with the posts and the gable roof. And then the landscaping plan. So there's a number of trees, and it is called the orchard. So they have some fruit trees, apple and pear, and then they've got flowering plum and flowering cherry. And they have a number of shrubs, including rhododendrons, lavender, rock rose, escallonia, rosemary, hydrangea, iris. Ground cover will include grasses, New Zealand flax, blueberry type, and artichoke, and a strawberry, wild beach strawberries, and manzanita emerald carpet. And then there are lawn areas. The wetlands will be enhanced. That wasn't included in this design review, but it will be in the use permit, because that will be accompanied by the enhancement recommendations of the biologist who delineated those wetlands. And then there are a couple of biofiltration features over on the west side, and those are the kind of the brown squares that you see there on this landscaping plan. And they will also have some landscaping as allowed by the final LID plan that will be approved by the city engineer, and that, typically it will include some, water favoring kind of grasses and redwood mulch. And then let's see, these are the lighting fixtures, or the type of lighting fixtures. So the main thing for conformance with the city standard is that the light fixtures are shielded so that there are no direct exposed bulbs. So you can see that the shielded wall sconces, and then there will be several parking lots pole lights that will also be shielded so that the light is just directed downward onto the property itself. So I'm going to be turning that back to the commission. There is some, description of the zoning and general plan standards, and I think, this project meets those. The general plan policies are guidelines, and then the zoning compliance, it's been reviewed for zoning compliance, and the setbacks, open space, building height, and the number of parking spaces, and there are a couple of other zoning feature standards that have been reviewed and confirmed, and those will come up again on your use permit, in more detail than we would do on a design review. So I'll pass it back to the Planning Commission and answer any questions. And again, the applicants are here to answer questions as well.
Can you give me a refresher on our task in design review versus approval of the project at a later point? And
Yeah.
which questions maybe we should be, certain topics that wouldn't be as appropriate or are more appropriate for design review tonight?
Yeah, so that comes out of the municipal code, and I do, include that as, kind of a section of the staff report, so the scope of the design review and, compliance with, let's see, details of design require, let me start at the top. You can consider the location of the structure on its site in relation to the location of buildings on adjoining sites. So it's really looking for neighborhood compatibility and any conflicts with the neighboring properties. So with attention to view considerations, privacy, topographic, or other constraints on development imposed by particular site conditions. Trees and vegetation, size or bulk of the proposed building in relation to the character of existing buildings in the vicinity, and then details, architectural, landscaping, anything, let's see.
If I may, we're looking at pages 8, 9, and...
8 and 9, yeah.
So if everybody would like to look at that, that's kind of what you're summarizing, right?
Yeah, so like number 4, treatment to ensure that graphic architecture, site planning, landscaping, and graphic design are not suppressed, that ugly, inharmonious, or monotonous design is avoided. Review shall include, I think this is really the most specific details with regards to the plans themselves. Review shall include exterior design materials, texture, colors, illuminations, signing, and landscaping.
Well, let me ask this. This was more what I was thinking of. Is if we approve, the commission can approve the design review tonight, and then at a later meeting, we could possibly take objection, we could object to the whole project overall, correct?
Yes, the conditional use permit, the zoning code has some findings that you make with regards to a whole range of things, again, compatibility, but also things like noise, dust, glare, traffic, environmental concerns, things of that nature. So kind of a broader picture and public health and safety concerns.
Okay, so really nothing's off limits. I mean, because if we want to ask questions about if someone's opinion on the commission is like, this is just too big, then we can talk about that as well, correct?
Yeah, that, that's under the size or bulk of the proposed building in relation to the character of existing buildings in the vicinity.
And I'm not saying that that's my opinion, but we'll want to start asking questions of our applicants.
Also, if we do approve this, are we able to address it, say we approve this design review tonight, as is, just as for a rhetorical question, are we able to go back and readdress some of the issues that we see as this process goes along?
I mean, you can if it fits the use permit findings.
Okay.
I think there is a finding about, like aesthetics of the project. I don't remember exactly how it's written, but, like view shed kind of questions.
Okay, thank you.
At what point are the neighbors notified of this project?
The neighbors, the property owners are notified. The notice is 10 days prior to the meeting. So the property owners get mailed notices, and then it also gets posted on the city website.
And what's the distance, what's considered a neighbor? Is it the parcel next door, or is it the footage?
It's 300 feet.
300 feet, that's what I thought. All right, thank you.
So if this is built, would the proposed, this would house a population of what, these 70 units?
70 units.
Could be a population of what that would be housed here?
Well, they're 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms, so,
So
you
they're,
know, it could be a 1-person, 2-person, 3,
okay.
maybe 4.
Well,
Yeah.
even in a one-bedroom, you could have 2 people.
Probably an average,
2-bedroom, you could
yeah,
have 4, because you
Yeah.
got couples,
average of 2 maybe.
yeah.
per
So you
And-
figure an average of 2 per bedroom is the way I look at it.
Are these plans the exact same as what the pictures of the yellow facility at Myrtletown are? It's the same, yeah. Those are great visuals, obviously, to present to us if it's exactly the same. Very good. So maybe, my question would be if we can ask our folks who are here, talk to us about size, and my question would be, how is our community going to improve as a result of us approving this project, both design review as well as the project itself? How will our community of Fortuna improve as a result of this project?
Does the chairman want to open the public
Yes,
comment?
Yeah, if it's okay,
Yeah,
sorry, I
yeah.
didn't mean to go past you.
Thank you. I was going to say, well, I'll open up the floor at this time for public comment and oral petitioners as well.
Great.
And when you do, please address us with your name and address so we have it for the record. Okay,
Kurt Kramer, 1589 Myrtle Avenue, Eureka.
thank you.
To give you a little history on this project, we started one in 1994 called The Meadows, which is just about another block up the street from the Gardens, which is the one that you're watching, the yellow one. Those were started in 1994 as a 49 unit, and we had so much success in that. In 2007, we added another 42 units to it. What I didn't realize when we first built that project, they're 55 and older active communities. So they're garden apartments, as you've seen from the displays. And what I didn't realize at the time, because we're in the apartment business and student housing and senior housing, those are kind of our main fortes, but what I didn't realize at the time was the sense of community that happened with the Meadows. We get the initial move-in, and then what happens, it takes a couple of years to filter it out, and then pretty soon you've got your population that's there to pretty much stay as long as they can. And this is really a step before congregate care, so it's independent living. And what I've noticed is once that community starts to go, there's people that are looking after one another. And I continue to run into people that have got some memory issues and others that I go, they would be a perfect fit, because I've seen them function in the Meadows as an example, and add years before they have to actually go to a Granada or a memory care or something like that. There's just a lot of eyes on the project with people going through similar things in their lives. So we have a community center in this project, as we do in the others, and those are areas for folks to come in and play cards, puzzles. We have TV. They'll do some barbecues and some community, cook-offs. And again, it's all independent living. We provide a manager on site, but we don't provide, the managers will do some coordinating with who's going to be planning in the garden and where, what kind of events are going on. They'll work with our office a little bit on a newsletter. So it's a 55 and older, but it's not as, we're not paying and putting people on site that's actually managing curriculum and things like that. But I have to say that we've got 30 years' experience now in this business, and the project is just an unbelievable success. So we then, 3 years ago, went off and found, well, probably 5 years ago, found a site just down the street, had to go through a rezone to get that project from commercial to residential, and then planned that, and it's a 66-unit project, and that would be the gardens. And so there needs to be some scale in order to offer up the amenities. So while 70 units sounds like a lot, you know, most of our one-bedrooms are occupied by one person. And I would argue that most of our two-bedrooms are maybe two, and oftentimes roll back into one. And they want an extra room for a den, an office, something along those lines. They're not heavily occupied. Unlike our student population is extremely, you know, I mean, we're catching 3 people living in a 400 square foot apartment. So, you know, we're trying to manage that, and it's managed in a different way. But when we got to the end of the gardens project, it was just apparent that there's still a big demand in this community in Humboldt County for this type of housing. And, you know, we're here to meet it and try and provide for the community the kind of things that they need. And I think it's close to shopping. It's got that, I think the site works well. I think we need housing. I think we need to use what land we have available to us as efficiently and effectively as possible. And I think this project does it. So I've got my team here. Travis Green is our project manager and is going to run with this project if it gets permitted and move forward. And I think you all know Brian, who's our engineer. This project was initially designed by our architect, and this was if you drove through the other 2 properties, you would see some parallels and some things in the way we drop the buildings back and forth, and elevations are up and down depending on site. The 2-dimensional drawings or 3-dimensional drawings don't really give it as much character as you'll see once you're on site in live time in front of those buildings. So with that, unless there's some other questions, I'll sit down, and if they're more directed.
So this will be housing for seniors 55 years of age and older, correct?
Yes, correct.
This is not general population, this is for our seniors.
That's our plan.
So are some of these apartments going to be designated ADA?
Correct.
Okay.
Like, Brian, do you have the number on your head? The percentage? It's going to be like 9 or 10 units most likely. And all the ground floor units have to be adaptable. And then all of, with the exception of I think we had 9 or 10 of them in the 66 unit. And it's a percentage of the total complex. So those actually get outfitted with all of the things necessary to make it accessible.
So help me understand, when you say adaptable, what does that mean?
So adaptable would be 3-foot doorways, level thresholds, handicapped, thresholds. You have to have easily modifiable facility on the ground floor. So the cabinets are built so they can be modified easily. Countertops are set lower. The standard is 34 inches when in typical residential is 36.
Your outlets?
Outlets, all that stuff it's.
What about replacement for toilets and things like that? With
All the
markers?
toilets on the ground floor we're setting at comfort height because it's just not that much more money to install those toilets and have them done. And then all the bathtubs and showers and those facilities are set up as needed.
How would you respond to someone that might have public comment that would say, this is too big, I want Humboldt to stay small or Fortuna to stay small? What would your response to that kind of input be?
Well, I think to begin with, we're dealing with a 2.7 acre site. And if you divide the units into the total count, and remember, we have 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. So historically, we would be spending a lot of time in 2-bedroom apartments. But as getting costs are running up higher, land costs, building costs, we're starting to really condense those units. And if you looked at the Meadows project we did, it was almost 50-50, and I think this one's running probably 25% 2s and 75% 1s. So we're trying to get the unit count to a point that makes sense economically. I think in order to provide, so in essence, when you start talking urban sprawl and those kind of buzzwords, you're really trying to utilize the space you have left as efficiently as possible. So when you look at units per acre on this project, I think we're probably somewhere in the 20s on a multifamily project. I can tell you how much? Yeah, 26 units per acre. And in Myrtle Town, we were doing 30. The Coastal Commission it's kind of funny, the Coastal Commission allows up to 30, and the county's ordinance says 16. So there was a conflict, and you wouldn't think that conflict would be Coastal Commission wanting more density and the county wanting less. But I think we're trying to all understand how to use our land more efficiently. Otherwise, it just continues to grow if your city grows. We have a tremendous need for housing. You know it through your arena numbers and all of those kind of things that are going on. And I just can't imagine why you would want to take a 2.7 acre project and go, well, let's make it 40 units, or let's make it 30 units, or let's make it, pick a number. So we ultimately, we took our site that I feel was designed well in Hubbard Lane in Eureka, Myrtle Town, and we just reconfigured it to effectively fit on the site as the boundaries were, because everything's a little bit different. You've got some, it just depends on how the lot lays out. So we ended up initially using a lower unit count. We could put more 2-bedrooms on it and drop our total unit count, and it'd still be the same building footprint, but it isn't managed as efficiently. In order for us to have community centers and provide all those features, we need some scale to the site. So that's one of the other reasons we need to get to the 70. But 70 is just, when you look at the arena numbers this county is trying to hit, we're not coming close in the building community addressing those units. And it's kind of funny because we're managing other projects and trying to do other projects in the county. And the difficulty of getting those done are just mind-boggling. And they say they want housing, but I always say you can listen to what they say, but watch what they do. And so we're here to provide some housing. I think it's going to be a very successful project. We have, again, with this project, with our experience, there's a little bit of turnover in the beginning, and then we're dealing with tenants that are staying with us anywhere between 5 and 10 years. So not a lot of turnover. And again, I think it's sited well. It'll be good for those around them to have access to additional customers, whether it's the hardware store, the grocery store, they'll be all for it. Making sure that they meet the needs of those future residents. I hope that answers your question.
It wasn't shown on any of the, in any of the photos or anything of that nature, but will there be any fencing or anything like that surrounding the property?
I'm certain there'll be fencing. We didn't address it in the program, but we would definitely be fencing. If you need more specific, we can be more specific.
Do it. Let's hear specifics.
Well,
What would you envision?
Well, you'll notice in some of the pictures of, if you pull up the examples of the gardens project.
Which one do you want to look at?
Well, there's like a collage.
Oh,
of
the
them,
gardens,
right?
okay, yeah.
There you go. I don't know if you all can see that closer in your
I can,
own monitors.
Here we go. Oh, you know what?
So we do
Sorry.
some,
I don't know where it went.
in this particular case, we had some along Myrtle Avenue, or Hubbard Lane, that we put some patio shade, protecting, what do you call it? Just kind of a, privacy wall. But around the perimeter, we used a fabric fence, or a cyclone with a bronze fabric, and then we just get our landscaping up against it. And that tends to be the most economical fence. We use some wood fencing as well.
It would be this image, huh?
We're actually going to be using some metal fence on to create some barriers from people just walking into the site that we're adding now since then. So Yeah, yeah, I think that kind of addresses that. And again, the garbage enclosures, geez, when I look at that, think about 40 years ago when I first started building Humboldt County, we would put a wooden fence around a garbage enclosure, and now we've got these, they're very nice, and they look good, and they're appropriate in scale and size. But there's no getting into those things unless you have a key.
So within the garbage enclosure, are these dumpsters in there,
Yes.
correct? Not individual cans?
No. There's some recycling cans, totes, depending on and we work with Recology on that, who's licensed to do business in your city.
So who's putting the cans out, the recycle cans?
They pull up in these particular cases and unlock there's a puck lock on the doors.
Who's putting the cans out?
What do you mean?
So the drivers, I know my drivers, so I run Fortuna's recycling garbage here in
Okay.
Fortuna. They're not doing that.
Okay.
They're not going to get out of the truck and pull all your cans out, your 25, 50 cans or 100 cans out and dump each one of them by, they're not doing that.
Dumpsters?
The dumpster,
Yeah,
they do.
that's what we
The
do.
Recycle cans.
So
is what I'm
whatever
talking about.
recycling is approved by the city to use, then that's what we use.
Okay,
And some
so
of those
in
are
that same
dumpsters.
note, you know that the AB 939, the food waste, and you heard all about that going on. So what's your plans with that?
I quite honestly don't have one right now.
So-
We'll figure it out.
I gave you guys,
We increased the size of 50% of the trash enclosure.
I'm sorry?
50% the size of the trash enclosure.
If you're going to please address,
Come on up.
make sure you state your name and address as well, please.
So Travis Green, 1589 Myrtle Avenue in Eureka. So we did address that comment. We increased the trash enclosure by 50%. 50%, the trash enclosure that you commented
So
on.
you made the
It's on
one
the
trash
site plan.
enclosure bigger,
Correct.
okay?
I called for more direction, and I didn't receive that. So we did what we thought was acceptable and increased by 50%. Because currently our 66-unit Gardens complex has a smaller trash enclosure, and it's been functioning totally fine, and there hasn't been an issue. So we increased 1.3% to address that, and that's where we're at right now.
Okay, so you've been doing this for 30 years, so have I, in the garbage business. It's not going to work. I promise you, it's not going to work. There's smaller units that are going on. It's not, they don't work. What you're talking about and what's coming down the pike
Yeah,
for all of us
yeah.
is not going to work.
So-
We're going to we're all, and I'm just telling you flat ass for everybody, and I'm
Right.
sorry about it. We're all going to get hammered on this thing, that we're not going to be able to keep up and do what we're supposed to do. And the only reason I brought it up to you guys is that you're brand new to what's going to happen to this, and you're going to come in going, oh man, we should have done more.
So what we can do is work with folks like you that know what's coming at you and what you kind of see is how we're going to address it. We have excess space on the site. We initially had 2 enclosures. They're not inexpensive to build when you start talking the double doors and all that stuff. So it would make more sense for us to have one large one than 2 little ones or smaller ones. But if it doesn't make sense for the garbage folks, we'll have a conversation, figure that out. I can do 2 just as easily do 1 if we have to do it. So I don't see this, if we get good direction from you as to what we should be doing, not you personally, but just the garbage company, that'd be great. And that's when Travis suggested that we had a compliance issue on this garbage, I said, well, then reach out and find out what the requirements are going to
We
be.
did. It's not a requirement. And the comments that, the city gives it to us, just like they give the fire department and everyone else.
Right.
I'm sorry, I don't have my microphone on. Sorry, so they give it to us just like they give it to everybody. And I'm just a guy sitting there and I'm, again, sitting here and that's just the way it goes. But what I always tell everybody, I'm not here to solve your problem. I'm here to give you the idea that you have a problem.
Right.
So I don't want to go into super details about it because it's not my place to tell you what to do. But looking at it, I just know what's coming and that we are literally all scrambling
Right.
on every step of the way. You see what's going on in Eureka with the recycling center. It used to be the recycling was the big thing. Now it's going to be this, and recycling's going to the wayside. I don't know how that works, but
Well,
the state of California is not helping us in any way, shape, or form right now.
we don't want to get into a spot where we've got a poorly designed project.
Right, and I
We've
don't
got-
want, and that's where the only way I gave
And we're
you a
there,
comment is that way.
And the one we're using now works, but I guarantee you, we have no idea of
Yeah.
of the AB.
939.
Commissioner Mobley, what do you mean when you say it won't work? It's a generalized statement. I'm not in your field, so what do you mean it
Well,
won't work?
looking at, you have 70 units. There's no, with AB 939 coming down, no organics, no grass, no food, no, you have apple trees that are going in. Nope, those can't go in the garbage either. So nothing, no organics can go into the garbage bin.
Because the guidelines are going to be that it's all composted? Is that what the deal is?
Yeah, and there's no place to take it.
And supposedly like Recology and other providers are going to have to get into that business of composting?
Somebody's going to. That's why Eureka's trying to figure it out right now. What they're doing with the recycling center is trying to create a place to at least process it, but nobody still has a place to go with it.
So-
Because once you put it in a can, you dump it, we all know it's not coming through clean. Somebody's going to be throwing bad things in it. The restaurants, everybody's going to have problems. So it's a huge mess, the
But
whole thing.
it's a huge mess, correct me, is it a huge mess that not only will they have, but all of us, with all of our businesses?
Every single one of us is going to have this problem coming to our curb.
So our, just as a general, we don't do any, all our maintenance is covered by contract maintenance folks that haul everything away.
Right?
They're going to have a problem finding a place to dump their stuff too, is what you're suggesting?
So not speaking I'm speaking for Recology at this moment, kind of, is that putting out 50% more is not going to work for you. Looking at what's coming, every household's going to have another can. They're talking, if we can't put it, you have to have a green waste can, a food waste can, a recycling can, a garbage can, and it's going to be this if they don't come up with a real solution here real
Yeah.
quick. And everything from being in the business, they're not doing it.
Well,
There's no place
I
to
guess
go
I
with it.
wouldn't see us going to individual cans. I would see us going to individual dumpsters and making sure that we have enough dumpster capacity.
That would be the way to go,
Yeah.
if they let you.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
That would be the state of California again.
yeah, exactly.
Is there someone on site will someone be on site to put out the recycle can? Is there someone that works the whole
We have
community?
a on-site property
Manager?
manager, and so they would be responsible for those. And they take care of the clubhouse, making sure that's all cleaned, and they make sure the laundry room's kept up, and so that's just part of what they do. So, but at this point, Recology opens up those enclosures, and they roll those dumpsters out, dump them, and then out they go.
The big ones, that's what we do.
And that's going on for us in Arcata and Eureka.
How soon would this possibly be built? When would it be up and running if it goes through?
Well, I mean, if we get the permits this year, we would be starting, in addition to all these other requirements, we got all the water issues, so designing you can't open the site until a certain time, got to make sure it's weatherproof and ready to take any storm drainage and that type of thing. So anyway, it feels like it'd take us a couple of years to build it. And what we would do, is what we've done in all of the others, is we go in and do the infrastructure, and then we just start building by building by building. And then work around those folks living there and making sure they're not interrupted by the construction. We might bring 2 or 3 buildings on at a time, get those leased up, and then we'd be working on the next 2 or 3 buildings. And as an example, I think the gardens took us a little over 2 years, maybe 3. So that could be worst case.
I don't have a question. I have a couple comments. I think the Orchard Apartments design is lovely. It's very big. I read this whole packet. I didn't see 55 and over one time.
I didn't either.
No.
And it bothers me because I didn't know this. And I was very excited for it for families. It says multifamily. And personal note, I have 3 rentals. I get calls all the time if they're available. They never are. There's not housing for families. So it bothers me, this 55 and over. I'm 57, so I totally get it. But I was so excited about this, and now I'm not. And it bothers me. But that's my comment.
I completely understand. We are we are so dialed into the 55 and over. We know how to manage it. We know how to take care of it. It's a successful model. We want that to be what it is. We don't play in that other field, and we're not, adequately staffed to manage to that level. So what you may find is that this housing type is still needed, and it may open up other opportunities for families and others in your community. More housing is going to create more opportunity. If we don't get more housing out there, I don't know how we're going to deal with, the housing demands that the state is putting on us, so.
My response was the opposite. Once I learned it was 55, I was like, I got really excited. So I appreciate your input.
No, I'm excited. I'm shocked because I didn't read it in here
Yeah,
once.
sometimes we just put things out there thinking it's second nature, but we might have completely let that one
And I
slide.
also want to say that it's a very great space because I walk by there. I don't live near there, but when I do walk by there, it's just an empty, lonely parcel, and I think it's going to look lovely, and it's a great use for that property.
Thank you,
So
thank you.
now that my shock is over, I can calm down.
Yeah,
What does Commissioner Blakely think and Chairman Bradley?
I was going to wait till everybody else had their say. Did you have anything, Sandy?
I'm still processing it.
Well, I'll say one thing I noticed. I'm kind of a logistics kind of guy. And I see where your community center is in one spot, and if this is now that you're saying 55 and older, it's really more pertinent, I think. Why always, at the very end, you got people at this end having to migrate down here? Why not put that more in the center of the project, where it's kind of centrally located for everybody? Because it's in that run of, looks like 4 units. I can't tell because I got small print, or 3 units. No, it's like building 1 and 2. Why not split building 1 and 2 and put the community center right there, more in the center, where it's centrally located for everybody instead of over in a corner?
well, I think what was driving it was land use and setbacks and parcels that could accommodate buildings. So I don't know if you've got one that actually lays out the limitations in that area where things can get built. Normally, I would completely agree with you, but there's easements and setback requirements that the community
You come
center.
before us to get exemptions for that too, depending on how big the exemption is.
Well, it's a sewer easement, so we'd have to build
Okay,
over the
well,
top of
then
the
that's
sewer.
different.
Yeah. So, and there's emergency access easement on one side and sewer on the other, so it left this small parcel in the middle. It was just perfect for the community center. And while it isn't perfectly in the middle, it's not used all the time, and the folks, there's 2 stories, so they're up and down and moving around. So I hear you on the logistics side. And if
So,
it was,
here's my other question tied in with that. You said the community centers where they're going to be like laundry, correct?
and there's laundry on site too, in the individual units.
That's what I was going to get at.
If
It's
they
like
wish
I
to-
rented an apartment here for a while, and I had that little stack-on plate thing, and I was a single guy. It was perfect for me. I didn't have to go anywhere. Bam, bam, bam.
Right.
And so I can understand having something for larger loads maybe, but I'm just getting this, the whole migration there across the facility for people that, they may have a bad day with their health and have to walk all the way over there
Totally
to do their
agree.
laundry.
And that was an upgrade to our last project.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, out of the 66 units, we've only installed 10 units. So they still wish to use, and then there is something about being able to load in 3 washing machines and 3 dryers, and the whole thing's done in one shot.
Oh, I
But
get that.
we give them the flexibility, and they can put their own equipment in, or we'll supply it for them.
So the rough ends are there for the
Rough ends are
ventilation
there.
and plumbing and everything?
Yeah. So, and maybe over time, that just becomes more of a,
Oh, I understand. When you said 55 and I'm looking logistics, it
Yeah.
just, I'm one of those guys, I'm 62 and I have to have my knee replaced, and I'm thinking, if I have to walk across this place to get my laundry done, it's not conducive.
right.
The less I have to walk, better initially, right?
No,
And people at this age, they start seeing some of those infirmities coming into their life. So again, logistics.
Yeah. We're running 2 of them, and the system we've got isn't any further away than this, and it's working. It's
Okay.
working well.
Any other questions or comments? We appreciate your time too, by the way.
Oh, no, I
Oh,
appreciate
very
yours.
Sandy, you still
I'm good.
processing?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay. Did you have another comment?
I did have one quick question. Were these apartments gonna be market rate, or are they gonna be income-based?
Their market rate.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion to,
Motion to close public comment.
Second.
Did we ever open public comment though?
yeah, I did.
Okay, very good, sorry.
That was when you started, she said I should open it, so I did, if you
Very
recall.
good, I'm sorry.
I guess we'll bring it back here to the table. Do we have any other questions for our staff on this project?
Nobody on?
Maybe your age, we're all giving our age tonight.
Yeah, right.
Just kidding.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment.
Were there any comments from the public who received notification
No.
that this was gonna happen? No letters or anything like that?
No.
So again, everybody, just to bring this back around, we are looking to approve the design review only tonight. We're not really.
Right, and as a reminder, it's not, you're not actually approving the project,
Correct.
just the design.
So I'm going to bring myself back around to your little thing you have on here on page 5. I'm going to read that for our reminder. Design review required is prescribed in the zoning district regulations. If design review is required by the district regulations, such review shall be completed in accordance with this chapter prior to the issuance of any use permit or building permit. That's the primary purpose of our meeting tonight, correct? So with that said, all we're looking to do is, we've had the chance to review the site plan, building elevations, building colors, landscaping plan, and lighting fixtures. And I think we've pretty much covered every one of those topics, with maybe the exception of lighting. Is there, other than that, I don't know if we have any other discussion on this topic.
Yeah, you do have the lighting, the proposed lighting fixtures.
And I don't know if that, we need to address that real quick before we vote on something, or
It was
not.
one of the slides.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
showed you the covered light.
I'm just bringing it up to the panel here to make sure they didn't have any questions on
Okay.
that
All right,
topic, because we didn't talk about that.
not in detail.
And I don't want us to vote on something unless there's been a question or
Okay,
comment.
I see.
I would like to make a motion
Okay?
to adopt Resolution P-2022-3090, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Fortuna approving design review of the Orchards Apartments, a 70-unit multifamily development, including elevations, colors, lighting, and landscaping.
Second.
It's a two-way tie.
Okay, you spoke simultaneously. All right.
Give it Commissioner Seitz.
Okay. Roll call vote, Commissioner Blakely,
Yes.
Chairman Bradley,
Yes.
Commissioner Hallie,
Yes.
Commissioner Kine,
Yes.
Commissioner Mobley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sights.
Yes.
We appreciate you all coming in here
Yes.
tonight with our
Thank you
battery
so
of
much.
questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
If you think that was bad, wait till the motion to, for your project comes up.
there'll be more questions, I'm pretty sure. We appreciate that.
Save me a spot, I'm 57. I'm kidding.
I got some time.
So do we have any, I see we have on our next point of our agenda, staff communication and scheduling for upcoming special meetings.
Yeah, we just wanted to kind of bring that back to the commission and see what direction you wanted to go in. as
We
far
haven't
as-
really had a meeting in a while. We almost need to have a meeting just to refresh where we're at, because I'm not sure any of us are really cognizant as to where we left off and what was in process and so forth. Do you have any suggestions on that?
I do recall the last meeting, and there was, we did talk about, I think we read some from the code, and then you discussed the code.
Did we make any action points on the
There
code?
was no direction. I mean, there's no specific direction. I think there was good discussion about parking in general. There were some comments that some commissioners expressed that they didn't have a concern with the parking, that they felt that after reading the zoning code, it seemed like there was more comfort with it, I think, more, being comfortable with what it requires. And that on a case-by-case basis, whether the existing access may be causing the problem rather than the code requirements.
Is it possible you could send us out an email?
More comfortable with the parking code.
Sandy, you want to get your?
So that was discussion, but then there was no specific follow-up as to the
Maybe
next
the
steps.
follow-up we need is to get it enforced.
Oh, enforcement
Yeah.
of parking. Oh, there's a phone call. Or a Zoom.
Was
Is
that
there
during
still
our-
the-
Was that during our public comment? I can reopen that up, can't I?
They're not raising their hand, so they may just be sitting in.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, they're sitting in at the tail end of a meeting, I guess.
So Katie, just to clarify, if someone wanted to talk,
They
It-
raise their hand.
okay.
Okay.
It does say that on the screen. All right.
So I'm just wondering if we could have I know we probably have this somewhere, but just maybe a quick email where we're at with some of the things that were sent before, so we
Okay.
can,
Yeah, I can
review it.
review notes and
yeah.
can I refresh?
Would that be
My
helpful for
memory.
everybody?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So we can kind of pick up. And then the next question then is what we're talking about is scheduling, right? Do we need to put that out there?
That's, if you want to wait for an email and then schedule at the next meeting, or if you wanted to resume right now, you could just indicate to staff to go ahead and send out. a note.
Hasn't Tuesday been the day we typically do that on?
Well, we found, I think, one commissioner can't make it during the day, correct?
I could do it during the day. I'm just in the field a lot for my job with the county, so it's hit or miss because it flips every single other week.
Okay.
So that's kind of my issue.
Well, I'm
But-
trying, yeah, I'm trying to not to avoid,
Yeah.
or try to,
But really, if I can just get my boss to schedule me properly, he'll be fine.
well, I'm trying to find a way where we can schedule so if it doesn't become a conflict for any of us, but I don't know if that's gonna be completely possible with our careers. So,
Do we want to do 2 meetings a month, or do we want to maybe just do 1 meeting a month?
you're talking about for the special
For
meetings
the
only?
special meeting, so that we're not doing meetings every single Tuesday?
Good
I
idea.
think that would be a
Yeah, I
healthy,
think
and
that's fine.
That's a great idea.
I think it would help your schedules too, correct?
So then we could choose the first or the third Tuesday.
Yeah.
Good idea, Katie.
It's a brilliant suggestion.
Thank you. I worked very hard on it.
Go ahead, Gus.
I, for one, if you as staff or other commissioners can, if we can drill down just as much or imagine what we really think we want to accomplish, open to fresh ideas on that. Or if we need to be honest and say, this is going nowhere, then I think we should.
I agree. I have attended or tried every one, and we've been called off a few times, or once at least, but I feel like it was a waste of the city's money to pay me to sit there and do nothing.
Which
Sorry.
is why I'm looking for that summary so we can get some actions
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at right now.
Let's try one more time.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Okay.
Yes.
So why don't you send
No,
out
just
an
call us
email
out
and
on
let
it.
everybody respond what works for them?
Okay.
Like if it's the first or third Tuesday, and then maybe give us options, whether it be afternoon or evening. I think we've been doing afternoons, but,
I prefer afternoons.
yeah, I think most of us do, but you're,
And can that be a Zoom also if we're not in town, or is that just strictly here in the city?
We could do hybrid now.
okay,
That would
So-
probably benefit me,
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah.
good. Then let's
that would-
shoot for that
It
then.
would be a similar setup, I mean, just without the TVs. but-
Okay. And then I had a quick question too. Do we have any new applicants yet?
No, I'll remind the city clerk to post. I
That's
need
what I
to-
was gonna.
Well, there's a big shakeup in city council, right? People are stepping down and there's some running, so that might
There
put
are
a little.
three positions open, and they've been posted on, the candidates have been posted on the city website. So if
Yeah.
you're curious, there's a little photographs and little write-up on
Oh,
each of
good.
them.
5 candidates, correct?
Yeah.
And I hear someone knows one of them well.
I think, as a commissioners, we should try to recruit people as well.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
And if I recall, they have to be a resident of Fortuna, and we're limited to how many we can have on here that are not residents but are business owners in the
Correct.
town. So,
I don't believe they have to be a business owner. They would need to.
I think
work-
if they're outside, oh,
I don't think they need to own a business. I think they need
just
to
working.
work in Fortuna. I'll double check on that. but-
yeah, I had that discussion with one of you, I thought about that, or Sue maybe. But, is there anything else from staff?
No.
I want to say thank you to the staff for when we might stumble over procedure in saying something, as well as our chairman keeping us on track. I really appreciate Mr. Bradley for being our chair. And of course,
Thank
our
you.
previous chair did great, but staff, thank you for everything, and
Yeah.
our chairman.
Of course.
Motion to close.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.